What up, though, everybody? This is Colin. You are back watching Knockouts in 3 Counts. And before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, knock out that subscribe button, and hit the notifications for the 3 count. But we're back for UFC 252 picks, and we got a special guest with us this time. I figured since we just dropped our interview with him, which you can find in the link right there or in the description, we've got fresh off his win at Bellator 243 and UFC vet, Myles the Fury Jury, with us to pick these fights. How you doing, brother man?
What's up, boys? What's up? I'm doing good, man. Feeling good. Got a great card coming up this Saturday, dude. The best heavyweights in the world going at it. So looking forward to that. Feeling good.
All right. Let's cut all the bullshit. So the first fight we got on this card is going to be Daniel Pineda versus Herbert Burns. Corey, you're the one usually knowing more about the guys who don't have the big names, so I'll let you go first on this one. So what do you think on this fight?
I don't have the card pulled up in front of me.
It's Herbert Burns and
name.
Pineda.
I know Herbert Burns. What was the first name again?
Daniel Pineda.
Okay, yeah. That actually should be a really good fight. Herbert Burns has been coming off of some really impressive fights, man. He's looked really good. And for those of you who don't know, that's actually Gilbert Burns' little brother. But he's looked really impressive in his last couple, man. He's coming off of some real good finishes, and it's going to be hard to pick against him in this fight, in my opinion.
So you're going with Burns. How's he win?
He's been landing some heavy strikes on people, but that being said, he really does have some serious solid ground game. I'm going to have to say it's probably still going to be with the hands, though, because he's looked good in his last couple, man. He's been putting people down.
I like it. Myles, who do you got?
You know what? I think Daniel Pineda, man. I think he's actually, he was in the PFL, made it to the finals, got popped. I think he's very underrated. I think he's very tough, a lot of experience, had some wins over a lot of good guys, was in the UFC. Looking at Herbert Burns, dude's on a roll, younger brother of Gilbert, who's going to be fighting for that welterweight title. I think it's going to be a close fight, but I'm going to give it to Herbert Burns a little bit more, just on being a little more well-rounded. I believe he's younger and a little bit more confident. So I could see him win a decision or submission.
All right. I personally, on this one, I do know who Daniel Pineda is, and that's where I remembered him from. I couldn't remember where I'd watched him fight, but I did see his fights in PFL. For me, I'm going with Burns in this one. Just like Corey said, he's been on a good roll, and he's been hungry. I feel like his hands are going to be the difference in this one, but Pineda is going to be a problem. Like, it's not like this is going to be an easy fight. So in me saying Burns is going to win, I'm not saying that thinking he's just going to go out here and just destroy Pineda, because that's not it at all. So for me, I'm going to go with Burns. I'm actually going to go by decision on this one. So
I can see that.
That one, that's where I'm going on this one. I'm going with Herbert Burns. The next fight that we've got on this card, I don't know if this is a Photoshop or what the fuck, because I just watched Embedded, and John Dodson did not have the Afro Samurai Afro that they got in this picture here. But it's John Dodson versus Marab Devish. I don't know how to say that.
Devalishvili.
Yeah, however, what the fuck he said, that guy.
Devalishvili. Sounds like a food.
I know, right? Like, I'm like, I don't even know how to touch that one. And I mean, I got enough with collision. I mean, help, anybody that knows Myles knows that that's what I get called to the gym the majority of the time anyway. So, but all right.
I'm gonna take. You know what? It's hard to go against Dodson, man. The guy is super fast on the feet, athletic, trains with a great team, fought for a title. Just, it's at 25 too, right? Flyweight?
No, Marab fights at 135. Yeah, it's bantamweight.
Okay, so bantamweight. Okay, so I think Dodson's gonna decision him. I think Dodson kind of piece him up with the hands, keep that distance, stay off of his back. That's what I'm thinking.
I think that's real. I think that's real important. If Dodson is going to be able to get the win, is essentially, like you said, being able to stay off his back. Marab's done a real good job. I think he actually holds the current record for most takedowns in a UFC fight. So he's a real hard guy to stay up against. He's he's got some real good training up there in Long Island. He actually is currently posting videos all the time training with Aljamain Sterling and stuff. So he's got some real good people that he trains with. That being said, John Dodson is definitely his first like real test in the UFC. Not that, you know, any UFC guy isn't a real test, but this is his first high-ranking fight. Does a real good job against guys like that because he's so short and good with the hands. He usually can fight off the takedowns. It's going to be a real interesting fight to see how it plays out. But I'm going to think Merab's probably going to take him down, at least wear on him into the second round and kind of get like a second and third round decision.
So for me, I got to go Dodson on this one. I've been watching Dodson since he was on the Tap Out show years ago. I think personally, I see this one being a decision. Dodson is very explosive and dynamic because of some of the things that he does in the cage, but he's never really been a guy who you see knock people out a ton. I think if anything, if I had to guess how I see this fight going, I think Dodson kind of will tag him up with volume. Either tag him up with volume, or if he does get on the ground, I think it'll just kind of be like a grind him out. Merab is great, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like Myles said, I kind of think the experience edge for John Dodson is going to be the difference here. I could be totally wrong. Let us know in the comments. Who do you think? But for me, I think I'm going with John Dodson on this one by decision.
Nice.
The next fight we got a guy who, like our homie here, was trying to bounce back after his first fight in the Bellator. You've got another guy who's trying to bounce back here, but he's got a hell of a fucking fight to do it against and a teammate nonetheless. You've got Jairzinho Rosenstruck trying to get back on the winning side of things against fellow American top team guy Junior Dos Santos. It's an interesting fight. I'll go first on this one. I think Rosenstruck's going to have something to prove in this one. I think he's probably better prepared for this one. But I'm going to be honest with you. I see Junior Dos Santos knocking his fucking head off. I think Dos Santos is going to win. Dos Santos, not Dos Anjos. Dos Santos is going to win by knockout.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm not even going to try and pronounce the other guy's name. I think Dos Santos is his experience, heavy hands, and he's been mixing in a lot more kicks, training an American top team. I see him mixing in a lot. Yeah, I've been seeing him mixing in a lot more kicks, because Dos Santos used to just do more hands and maybe like a spin kick here and there. But you see him mixing in some body kicks, moving. He's in great shape for his age, ton of experience. I mean, this is a guy that's been in there with 5 rounds with Kane. He's fought in everybody. He's been to that limit, championship rounds. And the other guy, I'll call him Biggie, okay? I'll call him Biggie because I'll butcher that name, and I'm sure everybody will be like, everybody gets all fired up when you butcher the names.
It's not that way.
Yeah. Learn their names. Learn their names before you talk.
Because like they got a PhD and shit.
Yeah, you try learning all these names, man. It's like, but you know what? He's a good striker. He's coming off of a tough loss, man, in Ngannou, and I think that's a mental hurdle he's got to come over because the way Ngannou took him out that early and pounced on him, that's a tough one to come back against, and going up against somebody like Dos Santos, that's another hurdle to get over. So I'm thinking Dos Santos by TKO.
All right, Corey, who do you got?
I mean, so I agree with what you just said, Myles, about Biggie Boy, Jairzinho Rosenstruck. But
there you go. Say that 10 times.
Yeah. Now about that though, I also think a big thing going into this fight is the fact that he had just fought Ngannou. I believe that was only like 3 months ago. So not only was he coming off of a big knockout, but that's not a long turnaround for a knockout. That kind of worries me against somebody with the power like Dos Santos.
I don't think his chin's going to be able to handle that bomb plus a fucking Dos Santos bomb in like 3 months because I was there the night that he killed Overeem, okay? I'm just saying.
Well, and that actually brings up the next point I was gonna say too. Is if you've seen Biggie Boy Jairzinho Rosenstruck, try that one another time. His fight against Alistair Overeem, he didn't look that impressive until he did. He's the type of fighter that is like most at heavyweight that are strikers. You can definitely get a win, but they're not dangerous until they are. As soon as one thing touches the right way, the fight can be over. And especially with somebody with the age behind him, like Junior Dos Santos, it's going to be an interesting fight. I want to say Dos Santos is going to win, but I could see it going either way. I'm going to say probably decision Dos Santos, and I think as long as he doesn't get touched by Biggie, it'll go his way. But if he gets touched, man, it could go a different way real quick.
You can say that with any heavyweight, though.
Well, yeah, I think that's the beauty, the beauty of the heavyweight division. One shot is all you need, especially at a heavyweight. So that's what makes it exciting. We can sit here and say, on paper, this is why this guy's going to win. But the beauty is they actually got to, go out there and we get to see who wins. Is Biggie going to land that one shot, or is Dos Santos going to piece him apart and TKO him? We'll see.
Yeah.
Hit him with that Biggie Smalls on the walkout, and that'll really do it. But the next fight we got on the card is one that I'm really looking forward to. It really shows you the rise that this guy's been on with him being the co-main event of such a big card. You've got Sugarshawn O'Malley versus Marlon Vera. Or why they got Marlon Chito Vera? I don't know why they got it as Marlon, but Chito Vera, that's who he's fighting. So who do you got in this one, Myles? And what'd you think of that nasty sleeper knockout that he had in his last fight?
I think Sugarshawn O'Malley, man, I think he's super exciting. I love watching him fight. His ability to be a sniper in and out, and he has the ability to hit people in the right places and put them out. He's a taller guy, he's lanky, but he's got great timing, great distance, and he has a wide variety of attacks. And on top of that, he's got good jiu-jitsu off of his back. You look at somebody like Chito, I think he's super tough. I think he's a little more basic, trains with a great team. This guy's got a lot of experience in the UFC, and he's super mental. I love his mindset. I love his mindset, the way he talks about, how he feels. It's just been another fight. And I think he's really going to show up, and it's going to be a great fight. I think Chito's going to have some of his moments in the fight. I think Sugarshawn is going to have some of his moments in the fight. But when the dust clears, when everything settles, I think Suga's a little bit more accurate. I think he's a little better striker, and I think he's going to beat up Chito a little bit more. So I could see a TKO, but I honestly think it's going to go to a decision for Sugarshawn.
All right, Corey, who do you got?
Interesting pick. Interesting. I'm going to lean the same way with Sean O'Malley, but I think Chito is not getting the hype that he deserves going into this fight. Like you just said, he might be slightly more basic with his skills, but basic necessarily isn't a bad thing when you can get wins off of your basics. And he does a really good job with that. He's as a big fight fan myself, as somebody who sits and watches every card, local or not, basically from the beginning to end, I'm a big fan of both of these guys. It's really hard for me to pick who I want to win, but who I think's going to win is Sean O'Malley for the points you just made. He does a great job with the feints. Not only that, when he does actually throw the punch, it's incredibly accurate. He doesn't really just throw his hands out there for no reason. He does a real good job of touching people on the chin, and Chito's incredibly tough. Like you said, I don't necessarily see him getting knocked out Eddie Wineland style where he's sleeping on the canvas, but I do see a TKO happening.
All right. So for me on this one, I think, like I said, there's definitely a reason that Chito Vera's in this fight, but for me, I think the difference in this fight is going to be, like you said, Sean O'Malley not only cuts a lot of angles and cuts a lot of feints, that also makes his shots come from spots that a lot of guys don't see coming. If you look at the knockout of Eddie Wineland, it was a basic straight right hand, but if you watch the way that, Sean set it up, Eddie never saw it coming. And I think that's going to be the difference. I think the crispness of his striking and the way he's able to cut angles, I feel like he's going to leave. I'm not that Vera's not going to get his shots in, but I think it's going to leave him in a spot where he's just going to be able to hit him in spots that Vera won't be able to get O'Malley back. So for me, I think I could see Sean O'Malley winning this one by knockout, but I think if he does, it's going to be one of those where he catches him with a feint or something to that ilk. That's just me. Again, let us know what you think in the comments. Does the Sugar Show keep going, or do you think that Vera's going to spoil the party? Let us know in the comments and let us know what the fuck you think. Well, we're about to tell you what we think with the main event. It's main event time. You've got the end of the trilogy between Stipe Miocic and Daniel DC Cormier. First of all, before any of you guys make your picks, do you really think that this is Cormier's last fight, Myles? And if so, do you think that there's any truth that they're saying that this could be Stipe's last fight?
I think that this is going to be Cormier's last fight, with his age, all he's accomplished, and the possibility of going out as a champion with winning this fight. I do see him kind of moving on. As far as Stipe, no, I don't think so. I mean, we don't know exactly where he's at in his head, where he's at in his life. Another guy that's accomplished so much, so many titles, so many accomplishments, so much money he's made. But I just have a feeling I don't see him retiring just yet.
All right, so who is it? For you, who's it going to be? Do you think it's going to be Stipe, or do you think DC rides out into the sunset with the title?
Man, again, this is another fight, 1-1, right? I don't know how Daniel Cormier knocked him out in the first fight. I mean, you see Stipe take all these shots from all these heavyweights, granite chin, and then they're just in a clinch. Cormier throws this overhand right on a short distance, sleeps him. I did not see that one coming. Apparently, I mean, a lot of people have been searching for that one for a while on Stipe, but he found it right there in the clinch in that short little punch. But then you come back and you have a rematch, and then you have basically Cormier beating him up for the first couple of rounds, and then Stipe just showing a lot of heart, man, and a lot of chin, didn't get knocked out, coming back, hitting that body, and TKOing Cormier for the second fight. And now here we are, this trilogy fight. Man, it's a tough one, but if I have to pick it, I think Stipe is going to come out victorious in this one. I think he's going to weather that storm against Cormier. I think his boxing, I think he's going to keep going to that body on Cormier. I do see it being a dogfight, though. I see it being super, super close, but I see Stipe coming out victorious, possibly in a decision in this fight.
All right, so you got Stipe by decision. Corey, who is it that you've got on this one?
Well, first, to answer your initial question, I think kind of along the lines that you were saying, Myles, but I think that if Stipe gets a loss, especially if it's a knockout, I think this might be the end. I think if he gets the win, I definitely don't see him retiring off the win. Even though
that would be the best time to retire, though. Go out as a champ.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. Even though it wouldn't be a bad look because you would go out on top, I don't see that in the cards for Stipe. I don't see that's how it plays out. But if he does unfortunately lose to another bad knockout, I don't think he wants to sit out for another year, come back and try to regain his belt at almost 40. That being said, though, for my pick, I see in that last fight, I completely agree with your analysis of how, essentially the first 3 rounds went. DC looked like he was not necessarily the better fighter, but the better fighter on the night. He was doing a good job of kind of just controlling the situation, landing punches, doing what he needed to do to control the fight at the moment. And then all of a sudden, I think Stipe kind of realized something that I myself had seen that whole second fight, which was that DC is the shorter man who's also constantly trying to control that range and keep it close. So he's always reaching out with both of his arms. And that's where those body punches started to land, is because when you got both arms, elbows extended, kind of hard to retract them back to guard your body. And I think Stipe kind of figured that out in that second fight. And if DC comes in with the same plan and ends up reaching a lot, I think Stipe is going to end up tagging his body up a lot. And DC's going into this in every interview. He said, "Hey, Stipe, bring your wrestling shoes. This is going to be a wrestling fight. You know, I plan on taking you down and grinding it out." Which, you know, DC was a Olympic level wrestler, so it could go that way. But I think DC realized something yet again in that second fight, that it wasn't as easy as he was hoping it would be to get those takedowns. Especially once he started to lose that initial edge from the first couple rounds.
So
I
who's
see
going to win this
DC
one?
taking this one kind of in the same regard as the second fight. I think it's going to be a close match throughout the first couple rounds. I think DC is going to land some good shots, possibly control some rounds on the ground. But DC is going to Stipe is going to figure something out, and I think it's going to end close to the same way. And I hate to see DC go out like that because I'm a big DC fan, but that's the way I see the fight playing out.
So I'm still kind of on the same milk that you are, bro. I mean, honestly, I'm a big fan of both guys. I love both guys. In reference to the question I asked both of you guys, I think with DC having his career in commentary with the UFC, I think that after this fight, especially if he wins, there's really no reason for him to keep fighting. I mean, he's already going to go down as a Hall of Famer and one of the best heavyweights of all time. So for me, I don't think that there's any question. I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up being his last fight. As far as my pick for the fight, I think DC's definitely going to try to take him down and wrestle him out because he doesn't want to lose this fight clearly. But something tells me that Stipe is going to be ready for that. I mean, hell, our coach, Don Richards, been the one helping Stipe get ready for this. I don't know if you know, but for the last two fights, they brought Don in to work his jiu-jitsu with him. So
for this one, Don was down there in Ohio helping
not
Stipe?
For this one, but the last two.
Oh, okay.
They brought him out for both of the last two to train out there at Strong Style in Ohio. So I know he's been working a lot of his jiu-jitsu. He's been working his ground defense because he knows that it can go there. For me in this one, I feel like the heart is going to be what's going to end up happening. I feel like, especially with this being rumored to be DC's last fight, he's going to be coming in there balls out. I feel like it's going to be a grinder of a fight. I don't know that I see somebody getting knocked out this time. I think they're just going to beat the shit out of each other. But I'm kind of the same milk that you are, Myles. I think if DC isn't able to implement his wrestling, which I think Stipe will have just enough defense for, I think Stipe is going to win this by decision. That's just me. Either way, I can't wait to see this fight. So I'm looking forward to this one. Like I said, this card gives me a reason to want to see this shit this weekend, gives me something to do this Saturday. Like I said, we've got more for you to do. If you hit that subscribe button, you'll check out all the great content. Like this Tuesday, we're bringing on UFC Contender Series fighter Jimmy the Brick Flick, fresh off his title win for LFA, heading into the UFC. Like I said, don't miss that this Tuesday. Obviously, you're seeing our interview here with Myles. We've got all kinds of great ones on there. There's past interviews with Myles. We just had Kenny Cross before his fight next Tuesday on the Contender Series. So there's plenty of great MMA stuff. DDP from the wrestling end. Plenty for you to check out here at Knockouts and Three Counts. Enjoy the fights, and until next time and in between time, peace.
See ya.